Hey guys, happy Thanksgiving from the Flywheel Effect. This week's episode is a feast of school culture and behavior management information. On this week's episode, we had Mr. Rashaad Pitt. He's the principal of Charlottesville High School in Virginia. He was nice enough to come on and chat with us about topics like restorative justice, mediation, changing mindsets around consequences, and defining success with your behavior management program, as well as ways as a new principal could garner support from the community and develop trust with families. Also, if you are interested in school culture and behavior management and you'd like to submit a question to the Flow Effect, we're going to have our very first mailbag episode next month. The form to submit your question is included in the description underneath the links. Submit a question, we'll shout out you and your school, and we'll do our best to answer. Happy listening. Have a great week.
No time, no tools, big expectations. How do you transform school culture without derailing the train? Answer: little wins that bring big changes. The flywheel effect. Harnessing the power of momentum to create a school culture that celebrates change and drives itself.
Looking through your works when you got hired, you got a lot of experience with restorative justice. Can you tell us what that means for listeners that aren't familiar with that term?
I think it's looking for means to anytime there's a fracture in a relationship with staff to staff, student to staff. We're looking to not automatically be punitive in our approach, but how can we build a bridge of understanding, not asking for people to be best friends, but to work in a collegial manner, and just coexist within the building where there's a mutual level of respect. Also able to share, you know, like mediating between allowing there to be a safe space of expression, and expressing how some subjective um, feelings about a situation, but ultimately how it made people feel, and what we can do to keep that level of respect moving forward. I'm not saying it always works, but we can just document and support our efforts as students that hey, we're trying some things there. We're trying to change mindsets. We don't want to automatically implement any exclusionary practices. We want to go ahead and try to do provide as much intervention and support. But ultimately, there's just some students that just need uh, a different setting that may not be the comprehensive setting. There may be a smaller setting that they need to be in because of um, just the level of support for that student. So helping identifying that through what we're doing, how are we utilizing the adults in the building to be that check in and check out support, who are the trusted adults, identifying that early so that we can say, hey, we've tried to connect, we tried to build community for the student, but it's working and we're having success, or it's not working and we may need to put this particular student someplace else.
I was going to ask, when you said like you're having success, what does that success look like? Defining success of restorative practices.
I would say when we have students that would normally go from 0 to 60, but we've shared some coping or some supports in the building that can be like, you know what? I'm gonna implement some discipline. I'm gonna implement some restraint. I'm gonna utilize my resources in the building. I'm gonna talk things out. I'm implementing those strategies that are being modeled by the adults in the building, not just giving me these resources, but they're modeling, um, having those positive, also going into the community because, education doesn't stop in the building. I'm going to support this student in the community. I'm going to support um, whatever extracurricular activities, whatever business is close to. So they see me in the community. So that, okay, I know Mr. Pitt, I see him around. He's always there. I know Mrs. Such and such is always there because they want to be where I'm at. They're going to visit me at my church or my faith-based organization. They're participating in my little league or my extracurricular activity events. So that's how you create that. I know some in the communities or schools I worked in, some historically there's parents who view school as a barrier because of their experiences. So therefore, that trauma is passed down to the parent. So now, I mean, to the student, to their child. So when they see school or if they get that phone call, automatically it's an antecedent for an experience that provokes them to respond adversely. And if a child mirrors what they see, this learned behavior. I see my mother act like that, I'm gonna respond the same way.
So there's a whole lot that you just went into that I want to get into with because restorative practice was one of my things. That was my approach to this one. And you mentioned every kids having a go to or a mentor, and you talked about check in, check out a little bit. One of the happy byproducts I found with restorative practice and that approach was because of just how you dealt with discipline. You kind of create a relationship with those kids by the way you went about it, if that makes sense. Instead of just like, all right, here's what happened, here's what you're getting. You get by talking to them and trying to get them to own it a little bit. You created a rapport that helps down the road a whole lot. I found that my relationships, my tier two and tier three folks, and not to like label them tier two or three, they just were in trouble more than the rest. Uh, but I found my relationship with them a whole lot better because of the approach that I went to, and their relationship with their teachers got better as a result too, in the most part. And it's not 100%, but it is a good approach, I think. And you mentioned uh, kind of the issue with the parent had a bad experience in school, and now the student does. How are you working to overcome that? Because I've found that too, and that's a key piece that I think schools, if you can get over that one, you can do a lot of good.
Well, I will say this that there's always going to be individuals who are, just, not saying buying or just gonna, you can't win everybody over. But from my experience, when when parents or the community see the school as a place of refuge or a place um, that cares. For example, my staff and I we did a career fair and we opened it up to students and parents. So we know that pandemic affected a lot of households with regards to jobs. So if if I see that my school and my children and I, my staff and I, we used our communication tool to share it with the community. We went into communities and put flyers down in communities where we knew that uh, well, in all communities that's feed into our building, and it was a major success. Utilized career and technical education teachers to uh, collect some businesses that were homegrown, like mom and pop uh, entrepreneurs who were looking for workers. We utilized the RVA Chamber of Commerce. We utilized the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we got all these people to um, who were looking for employees based upon their need. We did it in the gym. We had them all branches of the military were there, and it was also Navy Week, so they had like a major model of like a ship outside on the lawn. We had food for students, so it was like a comprehensive. I can get some entertainment. I can potentially get a job, and I'm fellowshipping with my classmates, and it was an amazing experience. So now students not see that there's some things that can happen to you based upon if you don't follow the school wide expectations negatively, and then they can be if I'm doing all these things, look at the opportunities that are afforded to me. Utilizing school counseling to, identify students who, based upon their success plan, where they wanted to be. So we had those type of jobs available to students and to parents. It was an amazing experience.
We had a superintendent on a couple weeks ago, and it's actually already aired, but this time, but he had a good quote and a program that was very different, but had a similar goal. And he said that our communities should be better because our schools exist within them. And like what you just described there is it has exactly that, and like that is awesome. And is that something you're bringing to your new school?
Definitely saw what I've been sharing, and um, part of my mission is to clear up any educational deficit, right? So we know that learning loss has been a deficit or affected all student groups. So how can we do that by um, creating opportunities and resources for all? So I talked to my school counselors and shared that, hey, look, um, let's not wait till May. Let's start. Let's not wait till when they're at the end of the school year to start thinking about college. Let's start exposing them now. PSAT's coming up. Let's start doing a survey of our seniors, seeing what they're interested in during that time. Our 10th and 11th graders are taking or ninth through 11th are taking their PSAT exam. Let's have something for our seniors. Let's have some opportunity to do some virtual tours on. We're kind of running short on with transportation. Let's bring some people in the building and expose them now. Let's do it during lunch. Let's expose them some more. Let's have a career in in the military here. Let's have a college and a career here. Let's make sure we're exposing them throughout the year and not just wait to just boom overwhelm them at the end of the school year. Let's be a gradual increase. So by the time they've taken their have their requirements for graduation, they already know, hey, this is what I want to do because I've been exposed to it throughout the school year.
So you're I'm assuming you're bringing that restorative approach to Charlottesville. What can administrators do to impact that kind of work in their school? Where would they start if they heard us talk and say, you know what, I'd like to do that? What should they do?
Um, I would, for one, see what resources are already in the building, what's already working. I don't. Part of my learning curve is that those things I wanted to bring, just learning under an amazing gentleman. Um, my principal, God bless me, passed away recently. Actually, August 19th, he passed away right as I was going into my one of my first faculty meetings. So God bless him and his family. But a lot of the things I wanted to bring to Charlottesville is already being done. Having comprehensive data reviews, having climate walks, doing just walkthroughs, just kind of get the pulse of the learning in the classroom. Uh, Utilizing the data from those walkthroughs to kind of be intentional with our professional learning for staff. But they're already doing that here, so it's really like a listening. Like, let me hear. Okay, how are we utilizing that? How can I get a quick win with maybe tweaking this a little bit? My admin staff, amazing, like amazing. Mrs. Helps, uh, Nicole Armstrong, Paul Jones, Teresa Bryant, amazing job. I have an amazing admin team who want to be able to give them decisions, but they also already come with a skill set that doesn't require me. I don't need to micromanage. They just fill me in. So I would say observing what's already being done, listening to your teachers, and just provide feedback based upon how it can look differently, or give them feedback that will be supportive in what their vision, because the vision is going to be aligned with the school, but to provide them with feedback and see what they do with it um, that will make the implementation of a program that much better. Um, Utilizing data and utilizing policy to make informed decisions. Um, Doing surveys to get the feedback from staff and get the buy-in from staff. Having those conversations with the department chairs, those formal school leaders, and then those informal authority figures, in the building who are kind of like the veteran teachers who may not be in a leadership role, but people kind of lean on to give them feedback. That's very important.
I was going to say, I love that idea of the surveys too. And it reminded me of a practice we actually recently did at Live School, is something we were launching. We did a survey with employees internally. We went through the whole process and it was like, how do you feel about this? We showed it. A lot of people had a lot of trepidation. And then we went back, we ran that survey again at the end of the process to show how buy-in had shifted. And people were really excited about this initiative, felt really good and supported, and showed that to the employees. And I think like using surveys as a before and after to also show your staff, it was a great way to get that to, I guess, show buy-in and show kind of the growth. And it made me realize, oh wow, like my perspective on this has shifted. Like I feel very good about this and supported. So that's something I think with surveys is a great way to do a before and after too for data on programs.
Thank you for that feedback. I think that was very important. Thank you.
You mentioned one thing there that I'm not sure that I'm following exactly, but I think it could be something really cool. Can you explain what a climate walk is?
Oh, so my instructional look forwards are called Dash A: date, agenda, um, student learning target, homework, and essential question. Right. So that's what I'm looking for when I come in there. It's a 5 minute. It takes 5 minutes. As I'm walking through the classroom, I want to make sure they have the date, the agenda, what students are going to be learning during this particular time, the learning target, what is going to be, and it may not be homework, whatever the guided independent practice is going to be, that is going to be have students to working on when they leave the class, and the essential question and the learning target should be kind of the guiding question to the learning target. It should be in alignment, because if I'm answering an essential question, then I essentially understand what the learning for the day is. So just doing that and making sure those students teachers have that, um, and also checking and see if they don't do lesson plans here. They have like, it's different, man. I'm coming from Richmond where we provide lesson plan feedback, where it's kind of like they have like a unit plan, and this is what they're doing in their classroom, but it's not really necessary. So it's really, but my look for is already something that has been shared and what they're already doing. So it takes about 5 minutes just to make sure staff is on target with the things that kind of help. And as an intervention, students know what's going on in the classroom. They know where they are. They know what the learning is going to be. That's a tier one intervention.
From a culture perspective, when you're doing those walkthroughs, um, and it's probably more qualitative. What's a qualitative thing you're looking for that, all right, things are going well as you walk through, that you can't really put a number on it, but what you looking for?
Um, Student engagement. I mean, but you can put a number on that, because there's going to be a number of students that are engaged, and there's going to be a number of students that are disengaged. But what's helping with the disengagement is that we have a cell phone expectation that's in line with the school board policy, or the cell phone policy, where students have to put their phones away. So during the instructional spaces, again, this is something that was based upon, and again, having amazing staff, students, teachers collaborated, collected data, saying what the problem was, what are some things that need to be put in place to um, address that issue, and it was definitely in alignment with the school board policy. So, and then that informal check-in for understanding throughout the classroom. Um, how we gauge a pulse of um, how we know students are learning, how we know students engage. Again, that one-on-one small group, cold calling as a cold calling an individual question, as opposed to that corporate question, which really doesn't give you a pulse of what the learning is on all, because you don't really know what all the learners are sharing. And that's where that instructional technology comes in, because you can use poll now, you can use Kahoot, You can use quizzes, which kind of gives you that on-time data to address or assess what's going on and what the learning is and how students are understanding or how well they're learning it. And then you can maybe need to do some remediation, or you can be like, wow, they really get it. I can move on to the next objective.
I'm glad you mentioned all the ed tech tools in the classroom and engagement. Us being a live school, like we're really happy you mentioned that. Being an ed tech school, ed tech tool, but um, Rashaad, we're kind of at the end of our time, and I know you probably are ready to go home because you're still at school at 7 o'clock at
Oh
night.
yeah,
But
I'm about to go to another event. Just look at and see what my there was an event tonight, and I was gonna probably just pop my head in.
When do
See
you
what's going
sleep or rest or relax?
on. You know, whenever I get home,
life of a high school principal.
yes, gotta make sure I get some protein in me too. But
Yeah.
um, all I do is think about what the day is gonna bring. So I really I sleep comfortably knowing that I know that I'm doing the right thing with my kids. So I do get my rest.
We're lucky to have you, and I'm really excited to continue to stay in touch with you and see what happens at Charlottesville this year, and just kind of see that journey of you as principal there. It's super exciting, and it sounds like an amazing community.
It really is definitely blessed, and um, I'm thankful for what they saw in me to be the principal in this building. I just got to show and prove. So I know that we're going to do that. So I'm very confident.
Well, I always like doing this at the end because it's always good to follow fellow educators, particularly folks as experienced and doing great things as you are. If folks wanted to follow you, they want to find you on social media, how could they?
So it's at Rashaad Pitt, one word for Twitter, and then uh, at Black Knight Principal on because our mascot. I wasn't trying to be funny. It's really a Black Knight. It's at Black Knight Principal for my Instagram. So
It will share both of those in the show notes for listeners, so they'll be able to just click straight to those. That's awesome.
The flywheel effect, harnessing the power of momentum to create a school culture that celebrates change and drives itself.